and we're going to jump things off. Happy to see folks in the room. Happy to be here, y'all. I just gotta before I start, I gotta recognize Coach Trey for the amazing weekend that we had this weekend. I just have to shout us out. Like, we had our 40th reunion, y'all. And when I say it was an event to remember, when I say that I'm still in the afterglow of that event, I'm not overstating it. Yo, like, we had live music. We had our classmate come back and perform magic acts for us. He's a world-renowned magician. We had a world-renowned comedian. We had we had Sunday. We had so much fun on Saturday that we came back Sunday for a brunch / comedy / jazz / R&B. Oh my goodness, Trey, thank you, bro. That was wonderful.
Okay, so do I get a pass for not having all the homework complete?
You do. He get it, y'all. He get a total pass because he was one of the organizers for the event. But the cool thing about the course, y'all, is that you work at this course at your own pace. Monday, we just meet live. We share information during the week. So, if, for example, if you got behind with some work last week, you can use this week to catch up at you work at your own pace. And if you need to check in with me, email me, you can. And then we're going to have office hours again on Saturday for checking in. So I'm going to share the screen and get started, y'all. But yeah, I had to start off with that acknowledgement, y'all. That everybody, they still talking about it. Even people that didn't go to Overbrook. Trey, I took a lift. I talked with this sister. She went to West Catholic. She said she had a crush on Mark Dunstan back in the day, and she always hated that her parents went to West Catholic. She always wanted to go to Overbrook because Overbrook, y'all, believe it or not, that's where it was happening, and it's going to be like that again. We're going to bring a resurgence back to that school, y'all. So I just had to say that. Yeah, give me a second. I gotta pull up my presentation. Sorry. I've had a busy day though. I just got out of a meeting with I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm on the host advisory board for Airbnb, and I kind of got that position through the work. The law of attraction was basically working for me, y'all. Like, I started hosting Airbnb as a side hustle because, like I said, I do side hustles so that I can fund this important work that I believe in, right?
Yes, sir.
And then, I got invited to an Airbnb corporate meeting online and talked about education, talked about business. And next thing I know, they invited me to their inaugural host advisory board. And it's been cool. So we advise Airbnb as hosts on some of their policy and initiatives that they're trying to implement. I'm learning a lot from that experience. Give me a second. I'm just trying to load up my. Number one, I got too many tabs open, and yeah, so. And I went from one Zoom to the next Zoom, so I'm anyway, cool. So today's session, module 2, y'all, we're going to get in. I'm going to go over the agenda in a minute. Last week, if you recall, we worked on developing our mission statement. We worked on our thinking about our why, and then we developed our vision board, and I'm going to give a special shout out to Maya because she shared her vision board already. It's really awesome, and maybe during Q&A we'll ask her some questions about how she developed her vision board. But today we're going to go over 10 important financial literacy tips for side hustlers, but not just for side hustlers, for anybody, right? We're going to take 8 minutes and review 8 issues that are super important for any business particularly a side hustle. Then we're going to do I'm going to expose you to some design strategies to think about ways of ideating your business. One strategy is called the rose, thorn, bud strategy. And then we're going to do this other strategy to develop a picture, a visual picture, a persona of your customer. And then we're going to talk about how you create that story based on all these issues. How do you create a story for your customer so that you can pitch that story to anybody, either for your internal purposes or external purposes if you want to go out and get funding. And for a bonus, I'm going to show you, I'm going to share with you some materials on how you can actually develop marketing material, brochures and the like for your business using Canva as a tool. The big question we're getting in today is, how do you research, package, and monetize your product or your service? That's what we're going to dig into, right? And again, we're going to go over these 10 important financial literacy tips. We're going to get into these 8 issues. We're going to look at some strategies. These strategies that we're using today, y'all, are strategies that I got when I participated in the design thinking program offered by the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. I attended this course on design thinking, and I was able to transfer some of those skills into this program that we developed here. They're really cool, and they're quick. They're quick that you can use them in a quick way. They don't take forever. And then, like I say, we'll have this bonus session where we'll talk about ways you can create your own marketing material. Again, you guys know my story. You know my ethos, side hustle for social good. And so I want us to first get into these 10 tips, and I'm going to pull it up on the screen. It's all, you'll find it in Canva. But after I go over these tips in the chat, or even unmute yourselves afterwards, like, tell me, why do you think financial literacy is important for our community? And why is financial literacy important for your business, your side hustle, right? And so I'm going to pull up in Canvas, you'll find this discussion question here. I'm going to pull up the student. I'm going to try to pull up the student version, the student view of Canva, because so we can see it clean. Oh, sorry about that. So yeah, the student view, here we go. All right, so if you guys are following along, you're going to go to the discussion question. Oh, is it posted? All right, here we go. Oh, it didn't post yet. So you know what? I'm going to share the teacher version. It's going to post after the classroom. I apologize, y'all. So the lesson is going to post after class today, because I didn't not that I didn't want folks to look at it, just it wasn't ready for posting. But here's the discussion question, right? Why is financial literacy important for your side hustle, right? So after we read, I'm going to read this out loud, and then as you're listening, maybe you're even taking notes, I want you to tell me, like, in the chat or unmute yourself, like, which of these tips do you find like the most important? Which one resonates with you the most? So number 1, it says, no one has as much money as they appear to, so don't try to keep up with the Joneses or the Kardashians. Tip number 2, you don't need a lot of money to be successful. You need a successful strategy to have a lot of money. Tip number 3, yes, they are trying to take your money. They is everybody but your mom. Okay, sometimes even your mom. So negotiate everything. Tip number 4, You touch it, you spend it. So don't touch it, all of it. An automatic direct deposit savings / opportunity fund taking out of your paycheck before you touch it is the only way to go. I'll give some commentary on these after I just read them, but I'm going to come back to that. Number 4 is really important. Number 5, you need to take risks to achieve wealth. No risk, no reward. Number 6, you need a savings opportunity fund to take risk. I'll talk about that one as well. Number 7, you need a kitchen cabinet, family, friends, mentors you trust to help you make better decisions and to keep you accountable. Number 8, you need courage to be an effective risk taker. Information is power. Use your knowledge to make your best judgment, knowing it will be scary at times. Number 9, start with the end in mind. Plans don't always work out, so always have backup plan. But without focus, plans never work out. So always focus on where you want to end. Again, start with the end in mind. And 10, always remember, you don't succeed. If you don't succeed, when you don't succeed, try again. Celebrate your failures. Success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm, right? So those important tips, right? I love for you in the chat, unmute yourself. Tell me what you think about, those tips.
Those tips are true, you know, and I wish I had this type of knowledge. You know,
Yeah, we lost you a little bit there. Sorry.
And it's what I'm experiencing. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can y'all hear? Yeah, they're not hearing too well. So in the chat, y'all, if you can, number 8, yeah, Tyrese, tell me about number 8. Why you think that one was important?
So Tyrese and Mom are co-students this evening. So I think number 8 will be the best one, or the one I picked.
Oh, cool. Can you elaborate for us a little bit?
So based on the information that you provided, that you need courage, because depending on how you see money can be a tool or resource, or you know, or just a means of getting what you want. So depending on if you're coming from a mindset of lack, that you have to have courage in order to make money be used as a tool. So
exactly.
you take the courage and you get knowledge. That's why financial literacy is very important. And once you get the knowledge, then you use knowledge applied effectively, as I heard in a seminar recently, is the best way to accomplish a goal. So
no, that's very true. And again, when you take risks, y'all, it's going to be scary. Like, but that scaredness is not a bad thing. It's just saying that, oh, I'm thinking about what I'm doing. But the cool thing about it as well is that in order for you to take risks, if you go back to number 5, in order to take risk, you need to have some kind of savings, or you need to have some opportunity, because there may be an opportunity for you to do something, but if you never put some money aside for that opportunity, like me, I used to have a what I call an emergency fund, but I don't have an emergency fund anymore, because if I save for emergency, that means I'm planning for emergency. I have an opportunity fund now, y'all right? Boom, I can take that money and I can take a risk. Or if something bad happens, because, stuff happens, I'm going to have that opportunity to fix that bad situation up. Because again, I have an opportunity fund, but I'm not looking at it as an emergency fund, because if I'm just thinking about emergencies all the time, that's what I'm like the law of attraction there. If y'all get what I'm saying? If y'all get what I'm saying, put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense, right? So that's why I wanted to come back to number 4 and really emphasize a little bit around, like, you might say, well, I'm not making that much money. Well, it doesn't matter if you're making that much money. You just need to start putting a little aside, and then you just get that habit. And when that habit comes, that opportunity fund, when something comes up, oh, there's this opportunity here for me to go for this, maybe go for this course, or there's opportunity for me to make this investment, or there's opportunity for me to go meet somebody for a business meeting. You got some funds to handle, you got some funds aside to handle that, and you're not gonna cause too much disturbance in your normal life because you've built the routine already, right? Number 1 is also important. Like, yo, don't try to keep up with other folks, y'all. Like, do yourself, right? And you don't need a lot of money to be successful. You need a successful strategy, right? All of these. And then anyway, let me stop talking and see what you guys have to say in the chat, or yeah, anything, Desiree, Maya?
So in terms of what another financial literacy tip is that when you're thinking about doing the business, is that you should stick with your fundamentals, which resounds with the structure of your business. You should keep that your law of attractions, and in the subtext of your law of attraction is that you stick with the plans, but you also have to think more like opportunities with your business. Think more about assessing like the problems and hiccups you get and prepare for those emergencies. You should also think about like what opportunities can those new things can help you with. Is that what?
Exactly.
So keep an opportunistic idea with it.
And Desiree, definitely, you gotta focus on yourself. You can't be worried about other folks. And then the other thing is, you worry about yourself, but you also got to have your squad, your backup, your kitchen cabinet, your family, your friends, the people that got your back. Like, those are the folks who are going to be ride or dies. Like, they're going to be with you. And then the other folks, hey, maybe they'll come along later, or you just got to keep riding, right? And so I wanted us to start our session off by just framing our thinking as with financial literacy, because this is the thing that set me up in my life so that I could have opportunities to do the things that I'm doing now, right? And so thank you guys for valuing that input. So we're gonna keep it moving. I'm going to share the screen again, and we're going to go to the next part of our presentation. And I'm going to do a little bit of talking at y'all. I apologize, but I need to get this hardcore information out first. And then after getting this information, we'll talk about it a little bit. But there's these 8 principles, right? Around that you'll find they're in Canva, but I'm going to just briefly talk about these 8 principles that you need to understand, and you'll read it a bit closer this week. But these 8 questions, let me explain what these 8 questions will help you do, right? Because basically in business, right, these 8 questions are going to help you answer these statements here, or these questions, right? There are these people that have a problem that costs this much. I have these things that solve this problem in this way. I make them in this way. And if I get this, then here's what's going to happen, right? To make it happen. And so these 8 questions help you address these, what you call like the business concept of your business, right? So it's kind of like the nuts and bolts of all the big issues that you're going to have in your business, right? And I'm going to just briefly discuss them, but there are more details in the lesson concept, right? So there's this thing called the venture concept, and that's understanding what your business is about. What's the venture, right? Then there's this thing called market opportunity, right? Then there's this thing called product service offering. There's this thing called competitive disadvantage. There's this concept called production and operation. There's marketing, sales, and distribution. There's management, and then there's funding, right? So in Canva, I've set up this lesson for you to go over all of these 8 important concepts. And I'm just going to briefly review some of them, right? The venture concept, again, these are the basics of what your product is, who's your target audience, what's your unique advantage, right? What problem are you addressing, right? Those are your venture concepts. And so you need to be able to answer that question, right? Your market opportunity, you need to understand, for example, what your market is. And so that's where you do research, and like you can do some global research, but it's really better for you to do targeted research on your immediate area. But I've given an example here, for example, as say someone who wanted to go into short-term rentals like an Airbnb. To understand the big market, for example, I went on to this website called homestay.com, and they estimate that the valuation of global private accommodations is $15 billion. That's a lot of money. So $15 billion, I'm just trying to get, my goal is maybe to get 10,000 or 20,000. So, but if I'm going to get 20,000, I'm not going for the global market. I'm going to look around the market in the area where I'm living. And so that's where you would do research on your customers, explore the opportunities, what way you can differentiate yourself, and you'll be able to then develop your product and your service, right? And your product or your service is what you're providing, how you're providing it, how do you compete with others that are providing similar products and services. And you need to kind of have an understanding of that market space when you're going into any business or any endeavor. Whether that's a for-profit business, a nonprofit business, a side hustle, or a big, large corporation, right? All of these principles are important, which leads us to understanding your competitive advantage. And again, I'm going to let you go over this in more detail, but there are different ways to making yourself differentiating yourself, right? You can differentiate yourself based on the cost. You can differentiate yourself based on being a specialized leader. So Amazon, for example, they make the cost structure so tight that it's like hard for other people to break into their market of what they're doing, right? But then you have Lululemon, instead of trying to be a cost leader, they try to differentiate themselves by being distinct and specialized, basically selling overpriced clothes, but they make them look valuable, right? Or you may focus on cost, right? Like McDonald's, they have super low cost because they want to be focused on cost. Or you may just want to have some differentiation, right? And so those are ways in which you can think about, how am I going to be different? Then you can think about your product, your production, and your operations. And you need to think again, what are you selling? What's not selling well? So for example, if you're going to do a food business, you might want to investigate how you're going to best purchase your materials, prepare your materials. What are some ways to lower the cost, lower your labor costs? I mean, they're even coming out with robots now, y'all, for kitchens, man. I'm telling y'all, but these are the things that you would think about as you're thinking about the production in your business, right? So it's essential, and we'll get into this next week, that you have good record keeping so you can track your finances, so you know what's going on with your production and your operations. And then we have marketing and sales. And you will spend more time digging into this deeper. But basically, when you're thinking about your marketing, sales, and distribution, there are these things I call the P's, right? That's product, place, promotion, packaging, positioning, and people, right? When you develop your marketing plan, you have to understand your product, your price, how you're going to promote it, where you're going to sell it, how you're going to package it, how you're going to position it, and who are the people, right? And when you do those things, boom, you're hitting your marketing, sales, and distribution program. And then we have an area of management. Now, management is considered when an organization or resource, or the resources of an organization to assist them in meeting their goals. And so you have business objectives for management, you have financing, you have sales and marketing, and you have ways of tracking and maintaining your cash flow. So these are management areas that you'll have to focus on in your business. And lastly, and we'll come back to this one. This is almost kind of like essential. This is funding, right? And this is concerned with how you're going to get money required to start, maintain, or expand your business, right? And number one, we already talked about this in the law of attraction, is that you need to have an opportunity fund, right? That's going to be money, your personal savings that you put aside for opportunities, like starting your hustle. You have family and friends. And again, what you want to do when you're doing these family and friends arrangements is you want to still, even though they're family and friends, you want to treat it like business, put it in writing, right? There are grants, and this is another area of specialty that I do. I'm actually going to be leading a workshop for Villanova School of Education on writing grants, because I've been real successful in writing grants for myself and also helping organizations with grants. And last year, we worked with a lot of folks to get them COVID business grant relief as well, right? There's just other cool, say if you got a really innovative product, it's really innovative, and you want to test it out, there's this thing called Kickstarter. Maya and Desiree, you guys might particularly be interested in Kickstarter, because you can put together a concept, share it, and then people will give you money to help you fund your product. And basically, for return, you might give them, say, for example, Desiree, you're going to create a new fashion line. You could go to Kickstarter, put your Kickstarter campaign out there and say, hey, I'm raising this money, and if you donate $100, you'll get initial design, you'll get a t-shirt, or you'll get whatever. They'll get something, but basically they're doing it to support creative creators, right? And I support Kickstarter myself. In fact, I love Kickstarter. I'm just a sidebar for a second. I'll show this. I just got a Kickstarter item today. I'll show it to y'all later. And then there are banks. You can go for funding. There are micro lenders. There are even people that have informal networks called the Susu, where people lend money to each other. But be careful here. My wife was in one of these, and I told her not to, but anyway. But some of them work, but it's kind of like a pyramid scheme, so be careful. They're venture capital. And so when you're dealing with venture capital, that's when you're going for the big bucks. That's when you're going for, it's typically not suitable for early startups, because venture capital, they want to know, like, your plan, your concept has already been tested, and they're ready to hit the market and give some significant funding, right? There are university incubators, there the Small Business Administration, and there are resource centers like the West Philadelphia Enterprise Center. And I put this one down kind of as a joke. There's the lottery, but I'm kind of kidding, but maybe not. So I'm going to pause there, because that was just a whole lot of talking at you. See if there are any questions, and then see if there are any questions. Oops, I'm sorry. See if there are any questions, and then I'm going to show us how we take those issues to do this activity that you guys are going to work on, this design activity. Oh, no problem, Tyler. We're happy you're here, and I have the recording, so you can catch the other stuff that we talked about already. But we're basically getting into like the 8 issues. So of those issues, y'all, which issue do you think is like your the area where you have the most pain point? Is it funding? Is it operation management? What'd you say, Maya?
I'm in operation management. I have a trouble with trying to keep with a consistent manner because before, when I was doing my organization, it was an issue of like trying to keep up with deadlines, trying to package their portraits not late, as well as the demands of that forced me to broaden my artistic skills.
Yeah, and I'm going to be transparent with you. It's one of my areas of weaknesses, the area I'm working on. And one big change maker I've made is that I've learned how to let go. When I say let go, like I learned how to let go and outsource some of the things. Some things you have to let other people do for you and even pay them, right? So like for my finances, I've hired an accountant. I was doing it, but it was taking more time. So now I hire an accountant. I use Fiverr as well. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fiverr. Is a freelance site. And so like if I need to do graphics and designs that I need real quick, I outsource. So that has helped me a lot with my management operations a lot. Just thinking about the way I was looking at my workflow, I started working, outsourcing some of the things because you can't do everything. Because if you try to do everything, you're going to do nothing, right? Yeah. Anybody else? Anything else stand out to anybody else?
I know for me it's funding kinda
Yeah.
because I lose track of like my spending a lot as far as equipment sometimes and
So
from
is it getting the funding or the working capital aspect of the funding?
it's both.
Both. Okay. Yeah, because the getting the funding is kind of separate from tracking and managing. That's more operations thing. That's why next week I'm going to talk about FreshBooks, how you can set up an account. So I use FreshBooks, but even like my business started growing, and because it was growing, FreshBooks was good, but I needed to level up, so I had to actually get an accountant so that on a quarterly basis I'm checking in with my numbers with my accountant, and it's just not me on my own. So those are some tips, right? So awesome. So what we're going to do now, y'all, I'm going to give you a preview of this design thinking activity, right? It's called Rose, Bud, Thorn, right? I'm going to pull it up on the screen. It's also going to get posted on in Canva. And I'm just going to walk you through how you're going to do it on your own. We're not going to do it now, but I'm just going to walk you through how you're going to do it on your own. And if you have questions, then you'll ask me. So yeah, this rosebud thorn activity is a really cool activity that I learned. Like I say, when I participated in some design programs with the Arts and Business Council of the Chamber of Commerce, and it was really cool. So when you think about the rosebud thorn, right? I want you to think about the rose as like something that you're already addressing and you feel comfortable with, right? So for me, funding, I'm comfortable with funding. Like I can write grants. I know how to get loans. I know how to crowdfund. Like I'm comfortable with funding. That's a rose for me, right? But the thorn, as I was telling you, was my operations, right? I have, again, I got a main job and then I got a side hustle, and so I got to, like, balancing those things can be challenging, and so that's why I started outsourcing, right? In a bud, anyway, let me know in the chat if you understand. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand these concepts that I'm just going over, and if you don't get it, put a 0 in the chat, and we can elaborate. So a bud is something that you see you have potential in, but it's a growth area, right? So a bud may be like marketing. I see I have potential for that, but it's area that I need to grow in, right? And so I need a better marketing campaign. And so that might be my bud, right? And so basically in our rosebud thorn activity, sorry, I'm going to show it to you. It's in Canva. You're going to think about those, you're going to think about these 8 principles that we went over, right? Some of these things may be a rose, some of them may be a thorn, some of them may be a bud, right? And you're going to list those things that are a rose, a bud, a thorn, and then kind of identify that, right? And so let me show you. Let me show you that here. It's going to be it's going to be on 2.03 rosebud thorn. And so again, you're going to think about these concepts. And here's my example, right? So I said that a rose, well, this was last year, and so it's kind of changed a little bit. But a rose is that I already have, I've been able to create some buzz for my service through word of mouth. A thorn was production and operation, because I wonder what task I need to outsource, and do I need like a virtual assistant? Can I outsource training? Like, say if I'm a side hustler, right? I like I told you, I work a full-time job. I'm on break in summer, so I can do a little bit more. But when school comes back, I can't do everything. So say I get a big contract, what am I going to do? I have to outsource it. I have to find another company, contract with another company to do the work. But that's the smart way of thinking about it, right? And so you have to think about like what you can do and what you need to outsource. And then I said funding. I'm real resourceful, and I have a lot of potential to get funds from multiple sources like grants, loans, and crowdfunding, right? So on your own, you're going to think about what the issue, right, for your own business. What's your rose? What's your thorn? What's your bud? And you're going to take some notes, and that's going to be that assignment. It should take you like 8 minutes, really. It took us a little more than 8 minutes for me to discuss the issues, but if you were reading it and not and I wasn't talking too much, you would have got done. Wouldn't have been able to do that in 8 minutes. So I'm gonna pause and see if there are any questions on the rosebud thorn activity. You guys understand it? Type a 1 in the chat if you understand what you got to do on your own. And I'd like to hear some other folks. Desiree, what do you think your rose is?
Is it from the options that you had up there?
Yeah, the 8 issues. Is your rose funding? Is it marketing? Is it production? Is it, or anything that, even if it's not that issue, maybe it's another issue. Maybe you feel like you have another role. Is it your design skills?
Yeah, I was gonna say design.
Mm-hmm.
And then my thorn, maybe that's like funding. And
And that's why we're here.
And bud is marketing.
Cool. Yeah. What about you, Taylor? What do you think your bud is? I mean, Tyler, I'm sorry. And we'll come back.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
I would say
did you?
funding from before, yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. And so the cool thing is I'm going to spend by the end of this module, you're going to have a strong pitch that you'll be able to take to a funder, and you'll be confident that when you take that to the funder, like they're going to listen to you because it's going to be so well crafted. Your story is going to be so well crafted that they're going to, I'm not guaranteeing they're going to give you the money, but at least they're going to give you a consideration, right? Because that's the most thing you want. You want to get consideration, right? And again, I've been successful in doing crowdfunding, I've been successful in getting grants. I've been successful in getting helping folks get loans, business loans. And it's really about taking your story, pitching your story, and letting folks be attracted to it, and then they want to support it, right? And that's again going back to those 8 issues, but going back to the concept of like, I got this issue, I got this problem, I know how to solve a problem. This problem costs this much, right? And so we're gonna go into the next thing we're going to do. We're going to spend a little time thinking a little bit closer about our customer, right? Because the more we understand our customer, the better we are to solve the problem that's going to attract people to support our project, to support our business, right? So I'm going to share my screen and talk a little bit about this persona customer map that we're going to develop. I'm just going to quickly review it, and then again, you guys will work on it on your own. Cool. So yeah, this activity is about visualizing and telling the story of your customer, right? There's this thing called a customer persona map. And again, I got this from attending a design thinking program by the Arts and Business Council. So what you're going to do, you're going to spend some time on your own thinking, coming up with a real name for your customer. You're going to give them a name, right? And give them a concrete name, not a generic name like Jamal or whoever you like. When you think about your customer, you want to name them, because when you name them, then you can communicate with them, right? You want to think about their age, their neighborhood, their occupation, what Netflix they like, what music they have on their playlist, what their physical needs are, their social needs, their emotional needs. And then you're going to think about an image or quote that this customer would resonate with, right? And you're going to put that, and you're going to put that down, right? Now, here's a sample statement that you might generate. Oh, who just came through? Oh, I thought we just. Yeah, so here's a sample customer statement that for the customer that I've ideated for my business, SR3 Consulting. So I say SR3's Consulting's ideal customer is Brahim. Brahim is an office manager in Side Hustle who cares about his community. Brahim is a 30 to 40-year-old male, so I give a range, who's single with no children. He works as a manager for a community center and he owns a small business. He lives in West Philly and he usually gets around by car and sometimes rides his bike. In his spare time, he likes to volunteer and listen to podcasts. So that's my customer, right? But what I want to do, instead of using words, I want to have a visual map of this customer, right? And so here's an example of Angela, right? And this is Angela talking directly, and you're having Angela talk. And she says, my family has lived in West Philly for generations. Our love for our community shows, but sometimes we wonder where things are headed for the little guy with all the gentrification. So you see right here, Angela, she's concerned about gentrification. And so as a customer, I might come up with programs that are going to solve her problem, right? Here's another, a more detailed map of Angela. Shows her age, her hobby, her archetype, her scene, right? Her what's on her playlist, what does she listen to, what brands does she like, right? And so now I have a real picture, a persona, a representation, right, of Angela. And again, Angela, we're calling her Angela, but she's a composite, right? Just like Brahim was a composite of my customers, right? But I want you to name that customer and visualize the customer. And that's what you're going to do in this activity. Here's another one, Peter. He lives in Fishtown. He likes jazz. He's a jester. He does freelance. He likes beer gardens. He likes going to the pop-up gardens. He listens to different types of music, jazz music. He likes these brands, and he's into the hipness thing. He's a hipster, right? Here's a shorter version of Peter just talking. Hey, the Illadel has been good to me. I keep stumbling on all sorts of cool stuff like pop-up gardens. I'll give of myself when I find a cause that matters to me, right? So if I'm developing a nonprofit and I'm trying to attract Peter, it's better for me to develop a map so I know exactly what I'm targeting, when I'm targeting, and who I'm targeting. Put a 1 in the chat if this makes sense to y'all. Put a 1 in the chat. I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute. Put a 1 in the chat if that made sense to y'all. Made sense? Cool. Anybody got any cool names for their customer, for their persona person yet? Anybody got? Put some cool names in the chat for your customers. Your composite customer. Cool. Cool. So on your own, you guys are going to create that, complete that customer map, the persona map, and that's taking the rosebud thorn. These are all design skills that designers do, like design companies that are like big major companies, like even Airbnb, when they're designing their platform, they go through these prototypes, rosebud thorn, persona maps. Like these are things that big companies do, but little companies can do it as well, right? Cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is tell you now, how do you take those issues that we just discussed, take the customer that we've identified, and create a story or a pitch that you can take either internally for yourself, so you know, or externally to funders or customers, so that you can attract them to support your hustle or your business. All right, and so I'm going to share the screen again, and I'm going to pull that up. Oh yeah, I forgot to show this one. Now this was a concept map that I developed for a project that I was doing. This was a specific project that I was organizing. It was through a grant that I received, and we got money to organize digital convenings. And so we got this platform called Hopin. So before I actually even did the project, I came up with the persona map to understand what the problem was, who the customer was, where they are, and then the venue. And so then I used this just to like design the way I was going to attract folks to the platform, the Hopin platform. And so we were able to get organizations that were on the Hopin platform. And by the way, if you have a cool event that you want to do, y'all, I have access to another digital platform. It's called Hopin. It's like a virtual venue, but it feels like you're in a concert because you got multiple spaces, you got a stage. It's like really, really dope. But if anybody want to get access to it, I can work out a deal with you, because I was able to get funding to support local artists and educators to use this platform. So let me know, holla at me if you're interested. Yeah. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you an example first, and then I'm going to talk with you about the process. But what you're going to do is you're going to create a bite-sized story for your business. And so here's an example. This company is called IntelliFit, right? It's an apparel company. So I'm going to read this pitch, this sample pitch here. IntelliFit is an apparel technology company. Now you see I had the name of the company there. Then I'm going to use a noun with adjectives. It's an apparel technology company. That, and then I'm going to use verbs: designs, develops, manufactures, and markets. Then I'm going to describe the object: full body scanner fit design software and consulting services. Then I'm going to say to who? To the apparel brands and retailers. That's a noun. And then I'm going to give my differentiation, like what sets me apart, based on unique licensed technology and years of apparel experiences that are the first of their kind to take accurate measurement efficiently and privately, right? So they've taken all of their information from those 8 issues, understanding their customer, and they created a little bite-sized story about what they do, right? Now, what you can do after you use this template, you can make your remix of your story that you're going to now, because that one sounds like maybe it's a little canned, but you might want to make a special one, specially for your funders or customers. And so it might go like this. IntelliFit intends to change the way clothing is designed and end the frustration that millions of people have with how their clothing fit. Our plan is to grow our company to over 2.5 million in revenue in 5 years. So again, you go to a funder, they're like, okay, I'm with it. I'm liking this story. Like you're solving a problem. There's a clear customer here. There's a clear plan. You got an end in mind. You got 2.5 million in 5 years. Boom, I'm with it. Let's look a little closer, right? Because that's the goal. You want to get them. You want to be able to have an elevator pitch, or what I call a bite-sized story that folks will be interested in, right? And so what you're going to do on your own, you're going to take some time and create your own story for your company. And if you're stuck, you can go back to your mission statement that we worked on before. You remember the mission statement that we worked on before? You can go back to that mission statement to help you craft your story, right? So I'm going to see if there are any questions about the bite-sized story. Are you guys, did you follow? Put a 1 in the chat if it made sense and you followed along. If there are any questions, unmute yourself or write it in the chat.
So in terms of like the custom map for, in terms of the custom map, this is added onto our brochure as well as our website we're going to draft too.
No, before you even get to the website and before you even get to the marketing thing, I want you to design a separate customer concept thing. Just like before I developed my program before I developed my digital convening program, I developed the concept map. And then once I had the concept map, then I pitched it to organizations because I had a clear idea of who I was targeting, how I was targeting. And so I knew how to better, more effectively communicate to organizations to get funding or for customers to get to participate in the program, right? So that's why you're going to develop the persona map. That is a visual representation of who you're targeting. So it's a separate thing from the brochure. But once you have it, when you're developing your brochure, you know, oh, I'm developing this for Serene, or I'm developing this for Jamal, or whoever this composite customer is, right? So before you develop the package, you come up with a profile, a persona. Does that make sense? Cool. Any other questions? You guys are a great audience today. I can see you're really following along, engaged with all this stuff, because we did a deep dive today. I don't know if y'all feel like we did a deeper dive today. More stuff. It's more stuff today than last week, right? Is it overwhelming? Let me know. Be honest. Anybody feeling overwhelmed? Okay, cool. Yeah, and I know you got life and other things going on. So again, that's why you can work on this stuff at your own pace. I do want to now, last thing I'm going to talk about, and then we'll have general question and answer. And then I do want Maya to talk with us a little bit before she goes about her vision board that she developed. It's really, really dope. And I just want to give her some time so we can praise her for that and look at it at the same time. But let me share the screen. And talk about the last thing that we're going to go over. So before that, so you'll find the activity that I just talked about, the bite-sized story. You'll find that here. This is 2.5. And it gives the example, and then you have the template, and then you're going to fill in, and you're going to do your draft, and then you're going to create a remix for external audience, and you'll turn that in, right? And that's what you'll do for that activity. Cool. So last thing, this is kind of a bonus. So if you don't get to this one this week, don't worry about it. But at some point you're going to once you have all this solid information, like I say, you have your persona, you understand who your customer is. You have your story for your customer. You have a story for your business. Now you want to take that material, right? And you want to create, marketing, promotional material to attract clients or even funders for your business, right? And I'll show you some examples of how I've taken my plan and then took those same ideas that I had for my plan to create promotional materials that attracted funders for my project, right? So you're going to create, basically the steps you're going to follow are similar to doing the vision board, right? You're going to plan out your brochure, the content. You're going to go to Canva if that's the tool that you want to use. I think Canva is a really great tool because they have already brochure templates that are already there. You're going to choose a template, and then you're going to customize your brochure. So I'll show you. You could go to Canva. Yeah, you can go to Canva, and again, pick the templates for the brochure, and then you just go through all those steps. And I have them also on the steps in, oops, I have these steps are in 2.05. I mean 2.06, the bonus activity, I'm sorry. And so all the tips here from planning the brochure, using Canva, selecting the template, choosing the template, customizing the brochure, and there even some tips on doing that accordingly, right? Some of the images aren't popping up here, but it's all there. And so again, this is a bonus activity during office hours. We can spend a little bit more time. We could spend a little bit more time working on it, but I'm going to show you an example of how I took so ultimately, right, I developed my business. Ultimately, we're going to be developing a little short business plan. I'm just showing you this for example. Then when you have this plan, you can take your plan and present it to other funders, right? So I had an opportunity to apply for this contest. or this grant, I'm sorry, applied for this grant. So I took the information from my plan and then I just presented it to fit the grant's requirements, right? And so I had the financials, because next week we're going to talk about financials. And so I was able to do the financials for this grant. So the cool thing is, like, when all the things that we're developing here, you can take them and use them to promote your product, right? I had another opportunity. For this was another opportunity, right? They were looking for people to do consulting services. So again, I took my information that I developed in my plan, and now I just plugged it into this proposal. My qualifications, my expertise, da 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 da, my experience, right? My background. And so these, I just used, I basically, I have a template to meet the demands for whatever is required, whatever is required. And so you see, I've developed my promotional material here. And again, based on my business plan, I'm able to focus on what services I'm providing. But again, all of this came as a result of me having a target focus about what my business does, who my customer is, who's my customer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And so I actually advertised in our a high school reunion book. And so I was congratulating our class, but I had this promotional material because I designed this after I finished. Like the things that I'm sharing with folks in the accelerator are things that I've done myself. So I'm not telling folks to do something that I haven't done, right? And so that's what the beauty of this program, like, you learn by doing. And that's the beauty of, like, being an educator, to be able to share this as well is really powerful. So I'm gonna open up the floor for any questions, and I love after that for Maya to take a few minutes to tell us a little bit about her vision board. Are you able to you want to share that? You want to share your vision board on the screen, Maya?
Sure, I'm
Cool.
just gonna pull it up from my files.
Okay, cool.
I'm
I'm gonna give you.
Oh,
Yeah, Desiree.
here it is.
All right, do you guys got any? You folks got any questions?
Not really.
Oh, cool. Oh, here's my Kickstarter item I was telling you guys about. So they made this is a kickstand for your phone. It's like a little magnet jaw, and then you put it back here, but it's also a wallet. So I can put my money inside here. I put this on the back, and then I have my phone can stand up on a little swivel joint on the back. That's cool. Anyway, so yeah, like, you guys, honestly, with your creativity, you can start I would love to help you, like, start a Kickstarter campaign. And here's the cool thing. I'm going to just full transparency. I did a Kickstarter campaign myself. Because I was running an art and a writing program for youth. And I got rejected. I didn't get it. But it was cool. I celebrated it because the time that I spent putting together that plan, I took it to another funder, and I still got the money, even though the Kickstarter folks didn't support it. So they didn't even let me post my Kickstarter campaign because they were like, it was too educational instead of artsy. They wanted to be more artsy and less educational. So I didn't win. I didn't even get to pitch mine to the community. but I still like the platform. But you guys are so creative that you guys, I think you folks will have a awesome opportunity to maybe get a winning campaign. But yeah, Maya, tell us about your vision board.
Yeah, my vision board is that I made it in Canvas, and this is actually like my first independent digital art that I made. And the idea behind my portrait by Maya is that it's not only just a commissioned artwork, it's also about like, this is me like doing better in art, doing better in targeting like customers who are Black femmes like me, working to inspire as well as share my work, and for them to grab like, to also inspire and tell art like an important factor in other Black femmes, even though my clientels are like diverse. So the idea is that I would give it your heart, make it alive and permanent art. Before I said make it great and give it your all and permanent voice, it didn't sound right, because if I were to say make it great, that means I just like, it goes back to the thinking that made me have to go on a hiatus. I had to like do making arts like standing with barricaders that I had to deal with in school. But that's another story. Point is, you do the best you can with your own art, your own artistry. So I said, give it your heart, meaning that give it your own style, give it your sense of your nameism. And make it alive means make it have a soul into it, have a value that's more like consensual. Does that make sense? And then permanent art is that you make this art that you made is going to stay there forever. It's going to be a footnote in society, in your life, and it's going to stay there. So work to make it known and work to make it like not erased.
That's what's up, y'all. Put some ones in the chat on that, y'all. Like, yo, that's powerful.
And I'll stop sharing.
That is powerful. Yes. Yo, man, honestly, this is super inspirational. And so for folks that are on the watching the video, because folks couldn't make it to the live session today, I'm going to say we've had a great session, been a lot of information. We did a deep dive. Again, we started off by talking about financial literacy and its importance. We looked at these important issues for businesses. We used some design thinking strategies, and then we ended up with a bite-sized story or pitch that we can take to funders. And then at your own time, maybe you won't get to that this week. That's why I call it a bonus. That the brochure marketing material, that's a bonus. If you have time, you can do it, but you don't have to. Next week, we're going to get into the money. We're going to talk about budgeting, financing, tracking your income, a little bit more around funding. I may even have a special guest to come and talk with us. My accountant, I may bring her in. If I don't bring her in for the live session, I'm going to bring her in for office hours, for her to talk with folks about the importance of record keeping and tracking your income and budgeting and planning and all of that. So, but Saturday we'll have office hours again from 1 to 1:30, I'm sorry, to 3 o'clock, if need be, from 60 to 90 minutes based on the needs of folks. I'm planning, I'm either going to have a feature speaker from our class or someone who was in a previous class to come and talk about developing their pitch. And how did they cater to their customers, and how they actually went on and like actually gain customers by attending this accelerator. Because we've had we had one person who participated in our seminar, in our program last summer, and she came up with her vision board. She got her EIN number. She got all those things in place. And then when the opportunity came, somebody wanted, she did a food preparation business, and somebody was looking, because people were locked in on COVID and they were tired of eating out. They wanted like a food prep meal plan. And so she was able to do a contract for a customer, again, through just being a part of this network. And so maybe we'll have a guest come in and talk about their experiences of taking their idea and making it a reality. So with that said, if there are no other questions, I don't want to belabor the point. Any other questions, concerns, anything for the good of the group? Oh, FYI, for the good of the group, Tyler and I are going to be doing this collaboration. She's a former U School member, and I'm working. I got a call back from the city art department of art and creative economy, and we're going to be doing hopefully it's not approved yet, but hopefully we're going to be doing something real cool with Tyler. I'm looking forward to that. But they did get back with me, Tyler, that they just need an approval from Giet that is okay for us to do the program. So if let me stop the recording.